Hi, I'm Monica from HorseTrailChicks.com, and today I'm going to talk about troubleshooting your trailer wiring. What I want to explain first is a little bit about electricity to help you understand, because it can be just kind of a mystery to most people. I like to think of electricity like water flowing, like flowing through a pipe. It's flowing from the battery to your lights or whatever. The only thing that's a little different about electricity that's different from water is it actually has to flow in a circle. You've heard of like electrical circuits in your house. Circuit meaning like a circle. Electricity can't just flow from your battery to a light and end there. It has to flow in a circuit. If you just have the sense that it has to go in a circle, that helps you when you're going to be troubleshooting, and you'll see why in just a second. So basically your truck has a battery, and also when it's running it's making electricity, but basically let's just think of it as coming from the battery, and electricity is flowing through wires to things like your lights, your blinkers, your brakes, and also it's flowing to the wiring harness. The wiring harness is what you're connecting up to your trailer, and it all comes out at the some people call it a plug. I'm going to call it an outlet because that's kind of like the outlet in your house that you put a plug into. It's where the electricity is coming out from. So it's coming out there, and that's where we want to always start if we have an issue with the wiring, just to make sure we have electricity coming from the truck before we even deal with the trailer. So there are a couple things you're going to need for this troubleshooting for your trailer wiring. The most important one is a meter, and there's all different kinds of these you can get, and it does a lot of stuff, and I don't know what most of these things are on here, but as we go through this I'm going to show you what settings. There's just two different settings that you're going to need on it. So you'll need that, and it comes, make sure that these are tucked in there really well. It does have a battery. Mine, you have to take the back off, put the battery in, so make sure you have a fresh battery in there, or at least one that's working. And I'll show you how to check that later. So you need that, and you might need a long piece of wire. Basically, this is stranded wire. You can also use solid wire coated with the insulation, and you need a piece long enough to stretch all the way from the front of your trailer, the hitch area, all the way to the farthest light in the back. So if you have a 4-horse or living quarters, you're going to need a pretty long wire. And then, you know, usually it's like a screwdriver's handy too for unscrewing lights and things like that. And then also like a little piece of sandpaper is something that you might need. I always keep some in my trailer. And that's about it. It does help to have a helper as well, if you can. So let's get started. Let's come close in here, and basically if you look at the pins, so in this outlet, this is a 7-pin outlet, and I'm going to show you a diagram, and that'll be in the blog post as well. But basically each of these pins is bringing electricity to a certain part of your trailer. Okay, so like the one on the right is the right brake and the right tail light. The one on the left is the left brake and left tail light. This one is accessories, so if you have like a little charging port or light in your dressing room, that would supply that. This one down here is for your brakes. This one on the top left is the running lights, and then the middle is backup lights if you have them, which I know. And then this one is very important down here on the bottom left, and that's your ground, and that's kind of like that route back to the battery or back to ground. So that's to test this. So basically the first question is, if you're having a problem, am I getting power to this? Okay, so the first one I'm going to test. So what I'm going to do to test this, I have my little meter, and I don't understand these meters, but basically I put it on 50 volts, okay, right there, and you'll see what's going to happen. You put this up here maybe, and so I'll show you first. Let's look at where we put the pin. So I'm going to put the black pin on ground. So you always put the black pin on the ground. And then I'm going to put the red pin on different things. So we've turned on the lights in the truck, the headlights. And so the running, that's going to power the running lights because they're always on. So I'm going to put this little red pin on the top left pin. And if you look at the meter, you can see that see how I'm off, I'm on. It's going up. That means we've got power. Okay. So then we need to check the right and left blinkers. So I'm going to have I'm gonna go turn the left blinker on. I'll be right back. Okay, so the truck's left blinker is working. So again, I'm gonna put the little sensor on the ground. That always goes on the ground, and I'm gonna put the red one on the left blinker, and whoa, check it out. Wait a minute. It's hard to keep those on there. See how it's going? It's going with the blinkers, because what it's doing is sending electricity in a pulsating fashion to this pin, which then goes to the wiring in your truck to the blinker. Now I'm gonna go turn the right blinker on.
Well, just in time. This job needs more supervisors.
Okay, so now I'm gonna put the black one on the ground, and then I'm gonna put the red one on the right blinker pin, and you can see, so that's working. Now I'm gonna ask my friendly helper to go put the brakes on.
Sure.
And the brakes, I think, are this. Is that the brakes? Yeah, I think that's the brakes. So we'll see what happens when he puts the brakes on. And so now you can see he's got the brakes on. Okay, let him off. And then there they go. Thank you. All right. So basically what we just did was determine that there's power coming to all the pins that we need to come to. If there's no power at all, so nothing at all, then what you would want to do is check the fuses in your truck. I'm not going to go into that because every truck's different. You can look at your owner's manual, but basically you want to check the fuses. And if there's nothing wrong with the fuse, then Liz said, just bring it into a mechanic and have them fix it, because it's going to be too complicated for you to figure out. Or if there's one pin that's not getting power, you probably want to take it to a mechanic too, because basically it means there's something wrong between like there and the battery, and who knows what that is. So unless you're a mechanic, in which case you wouldn't be watching this video anyway, just take it to a mechanic. So, but it's good to just check, make sure you're getting electricity to all the pins. So now we're going to go over to the trailer, and basically we have the plug, and the plug corresponds, of course, to the plug or outlet on the trailer. And you always want to make sure, so there's like the little ridge here that goes up, and that matches up to the correct part in the outlet on the truck. And basically these match up to the ones on the truck, and except it's a mirror image. So for example, see if I can remember, on the truck this was ground, but on the trailer this one's going to be ground, because again it's a mirror image. And on the truck this was the right blinker, but on here it's the left blinker, and there's the right blinker, and etc. So basically the electricity is going to flow into here, and then it's going to go from here, and it's going to be split off into all different things in your trailer, like your brakes, your turn signals, brake lights, and your running lights. Okay, so assuming we have power from the trailer into this, also one thing you want to check if you're not getting anything, if you plug this into your truck and none of the lights are coming on, but you've determined that you have power coming there, then the first thing I would do is like clean this out. It's good to put some dielectric grease in this, especially in the winter, to keep it nice and lubricated and from getting rusty. But that grease is sticky, and if you let this flop on the ground, it's going to pick up grit and dirt and stuff, and that's going to cause a problem when you try to plug it in. It won't plug in all the way, or it won't get a good connection. So you want to keep this clean. I have this nice little cap that I got that keeps it clean when I'm not using it. The only problem is if you leave it like this, rain will get in there. So I actually I clip it to this, and that keeps it out of the dirt and dry, but you could just do it whatever works for you. So anyway, keep that nice and clean. So you want to get those nice and clean, and if you plug it, it's all clean, and you feel like you're getting a good connection, and still you're getting nothing in the trailer, there could be a problem with the ground or something else, and that's beyond me. So again, that's where you might need to check with a mechanic, because there could be something wrong with this whole mechanism here. Or maybe someone could put something in the comments about how you might troubleshoot that. Mostly I'm going to troubleshoot like if you have one light that's out. So let's assume we got good power and all that. So the next thing is, let's say we have one light that's out on the trailer, and we're going to troubleshoot that. So let's say, for example, that this running light was not working, and it would be similar to with any light what you would do. So we could check, you know, there could be a couple problems. Could be some problem with the wire that's, you know, running through the trailer. Maybe mice have chewed on it. Maybe something's got crimped somewhere and broken the wire. It could be that the bulb is burned out. There's something wrong with the connection here. It's very common to have just little connection problems. Checking the wiring is difficult. So the easiest thing and most common thing is just checking the bulb and the connection. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bulb out. And it's plugged in back there. And it looks like there's only one coming. Like, remember I said electricity can't flow like water, just to something and not back. It comes in through this little connector and it goes back to that, which is going to the ground. Anyway, so what we're going to do first is we're going to just see if this thing is working. Now there's a little bulb in there, but I can't really take it apart and look at the bulb or anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if there's continuity here. And what that means is just make sure that if electricity goes in, it's going to come back out. And if the bulb was broken, then sending electricity in, it wouldn't come back out there again. And so what I do for that is I put my meter, I think this is ohms, and again, I don't know what that is, it's resistance or something like that. And I'm going to put it on this setting, X1K. And let's see. Make sure you have a battery in your meter and that it's fresh battery. The way to tell is when you put it on the ohm setting, when you touch these together, see how the thing goes up? Okay, so what's happening is I'm completing the circuit. Okay, so it's basically sending electricity through the circuit and showing that it's working. Okay, so all we need to do is make sure that this circuit is working by putting one in there and one in there. And you can see it's kind of moving just because I'm not holding it. There we go. So this bulb is good because we've got electricity going through that. So another thing that can be really common is connection problems. And I had this problem with my trailer when I first bought it. One of the running lights didn't work. And I was all freaked out. And a guy told me, just take it apart, clean it out, put it back together, and it'll probably be fine. Also, my dad taught me something years ago, which is if something's not working, take it apart, go like this, blow on it, you know, get the gunk out, take some sandpaper or something, and clean it out, put it back together, and 9 times out of 10, it's actually going to work. So you could take like a little bit of sandpaper on here, shine these things up, get them nice and shiny, because sometimes that connector, it's just the connection's good, except for there's some dirt or rust or something in there, preventing it from preventing the electricity from going through. So we've determined that we have electricity coming from the truck. We've determined that this bulb is working. So the next question is, how's the wire between the truck and the light itself? That can be a problem where mice have chewed it or something's gotten pinched. So we're going to test that, and there's sometimes you could have the truck to test it with, and sometimes you don't, so I'll show you both ways. So first we'll show you if you have the truck. So we've got the trailer plugged into the truck, and nice and snug. And so we should have power coming basically to this light. So this is super easy. What we're going to do is we're going to set our meter. I'm going to set it to the 50 volts. So it's going to find anything under 50 volts. And then what I'm going to do right there is I'm going to, I took the light out, whoops, and here's the little plug that goes in the back of the light. And so you know how, again, there's a circuit, there's two things. This plugs into that, and then the other bit plugs into here, which is the ground, and that's that return circuit, completing the circuit. So I'm going to put the black one up here, basically where one of those pins goes, and I'm going to put the red one in there, and as you can see, the meter, the needle went up. Okay, so basically what that's telling me is that there is electricity coming from the truck to here. So if there's electricity coming here and the bulb is working, then but when you plug it in it's still not working, the most likely cause is that it's not a good connection. So you've got some rust, you've got some grit in here, whatever, And so what you want to do is take some sandpaper and clean those out. You know, really get them nice and shiny inside and out. Same here, get that nice and shiny, plug it back in, and it should work. So plug this puppy in, and you can't really see. Oh, there we go. It's working. And that's basically what you would do if you had a brake light or a turn signal or anything else that was out. The process is basically the same. And now we need to find out, the only thing left is the wire intact from here to the light. And the way we do that is we put electricity through it, but again, we have to do it in a circle. We have to have a circuit. So what we do is we take our plug, and that's a running light. So this is the running light pin right here. This is what we're orienting to, is this little nubbin thing. Okay, so I'm going to take this, what we need is a long length of wire, okay? So I'm going to take this wire, and I kind of bunched it up so that I can put it in here and let it stick, okay? So I'm going to kind of put that in there, and then I'm going to lay it down in a way that it will stay. Then I'm going to come over here to the light. So I've got the wire going all the way along the ground, and we need to connect that because the wire is coming from this light, this little thing here. There's a wire. It's going somewhere up underneath the trailer out to the plug, okay? And then we put this wire in that pin of the plug, and we need to connect it together. If I connect this, it doesn't tell me anything because I need to know if there's electricity going through. Or I should, not electricity going through, rather I should say that there's continuity, that the wire is intact. And so again, we're going to use our ohm setting on the meter. And to check that, I'm going to touch these two things together, and the needle goes up, so I have power. Basically, the battery in this thing is putting power through the wires, and that's how I know that it's going to work. Okay, so now, in order to see if there's continuity of the wire back to there, I'm going to put one of these in here, and I'm going to touch the other one to the blue wire that I have attached to the plug, and as you can see, the needle is up. There you go. So there is continuity from here out to the plug. So that's some really basic troubleshooting of your trailer wiring, and I hope you learned a little bit, just even if understanding how the electricity is coming from your truck into your trailer, I think is helpful. And if you have any suggestions or comments, please leave them in the comments below. And happy trails!